What's up, soldiers? Chris here, CaribbeanPot.com. Always a pleasure having you guys here in the kitchen with me. We've got some saltfish stewing down there. We've got some yam already boiled. We're doing a boil and fry yam or yams. Listen, stay tuned. You're gonna love this one, man. Now, typically when my mom would make this dish, it would be leftover yam from the day before that she had boiled. She'd use to make this dish, yeah. But today I'm going to show you guys how to make it from scratch. If you have leftover yam, by all means, use the leftover yam. And all I'm doing is peeling the yam and any sort of blemishes like that. And I'm using a paring knife here. That's going to go in and dig that out. This is, I believe this is a yam from an African yam that we get here in Canada. Oh, Colombia, my bad. It's out of Colombia. But it's pretty similar to what we call juba yam in Trinidad and Tobago. So the two favorite yams my dad would plant is juba yam and finger yam. And this is yam. This is not sweet potato. This is actual yam. Yeah? And all you would do is peel back the skin like so. And then you would trim off all the little blemishes, them, as I said. Let's dig it all out. This one here needs to be cleaned up just a little bit more. And up to the top is where what we call the head of the yam. And if you want, you can trim that back because it won't boil as soft as the rest of it. The other thing is, you see that sort of slimy sort of business going on there? If you want to wear gloves, you can certainly do that because it can be itchy if you have really sensitive skin. Or coat your fingers with some vegetable oil and you can rock it like that, yeah? And now I have my pot here with water because it's going to discolor really fast. And this yam, this variety we get here from Colombia, it cooks really fast. So I'm just going to slice it down the center like so. And then I'm going to cut it up into pieces just so it cooks faster. But like I said earlier there, traditionally when my mom would make this for us, it would normally be a weekday after a weekday morning, and we would have it with roti, and that is why we would call it pong up yam and not boil and fry as I'm having in the title right now. I'm going to give that a good rinse and we're going to put it to boil. Got a high flame going on there. It's going to bring that up to a boil. We're going to put some salt in there, but with the salt we're going to go light because the salted cod that I'm using, it's going to have remnants of salt still in there. On that high heat, it'll probably only take about 3 minutes to come up to a boil. What you want to do is skim off the froth at the top there. That goes into the rubbish, down the sink. We ain't have time for that. And we're going to hit it with just a tiny bit of salt because, as I said before, earlier there, the salt fish or salted cod that I'll be using, you can use any sort of salt fish you want, any sort of salted fish, will have a remnant of salt, even though we processed it. Now earlier I said this is yam and it's not sweet potato. If you cannot source yam, sweet potato will work in the same sort of format that we're doing. Even your regular Yukon Gold potato, this regular potato will work as well too. Cassava, dasheen, Edos, any sort of ground provision will work. Coincidentally, green cooking bananas will also work. Turn my heat down to medium and let that go until it's tender. It's probably, this yam I know it cooks very quickly, so maybe in about 10 minutes time we're going to give it a pokey poke test just to make sure it's nice and tender, and then we're going to jump into stewing the saltfish. It's been bubbling away for about 12 minutes now, so I'm just going to take a nice sharp paring knife down the center of it, and there's no resistance, which means it's fully cooked. So that is the sort of test you'll have to use, because depending on the yam, the variety of yam you use, the cook time will vary. This one here, as I mentioned earlier, it cooks really fast. Typically you're looking 20 to 30 minutes for other varieties of yam. Basically all you'll do now is drain this, set it aside, and we're going to switch to a sort of a saucepan now. And this is the beginning of the fry step. So we said boil and fry. So this is the fry step. About 3 tablespoons of olive oil. And here I have the prepared salted cod, and all I did was I put it in boiling water, allowed it to soak in that boiling water. When the water cooled down, I drained it, rinsed it, and then I shred it. And that step is to remove most of the salt it was cured in. There's quite a bit of saltfish here because I love saltfish. Well, I'm gonna say it's sweet. Anyhow, this one here is boned or boneless saltfish, and it makes work a lot easier than having to remove the bones and stuff like that. However, while you're working it, please go through it and make sure there's no tiny little bones, because the last thing you need is a fish bone stuck in your throat. To add a little bit more richness to the dish, a tablespoon of salted butter, done with some fresh ground black pepper, and my heat is on medium low at this point. So I'm trying to flavor the oil and that butter with that saltfish goodness. And we just want to really allow this to shine through. So in goes some garlic. And this is all about flavors here now. Well, more flavors, that is. Some onion. And I've got some fresh thyme. Just going to toss that in there. If you want to break the leaves off, you can certainly do that. And for that Caribbean vibe, with the Caribbean sunshine or Scotch bonnet pepper, totally optional, but I love heat, you know, what to say. Give that a nice stir. And to help cut some of that fat, because there's quite a bit of oil in there. Now if you want to use coconut oil, vegetable oil, whatever oil you like using, you can certainly do that. But to help cut some of that fat, I'm going to bring in some acid, and that acid is some diced tomato. And I'm going to follow that up with scallions, a bit more herbage. You know, we got that thyme in there, we got that fresh ground black pepper, we've got that garlic, that onion, all those flavors, along with that saltfish. That saltfish is real flavors too, don't sleep on that. So what we want to do, we want to cook this down for about 5 minutes, and then we're going to add back the boiled yam to the mix, thus creating the boil and fry that we've done with cassava. We've done that with green bananas. There's quite a few recipes I've done on CaribbeanPot.com with the same sort of technique. And now to finish off things, here is where we're going to add that boiled yam back to the pot. Then it's just a matter of folding everything in, letting that yam get kissed with that saltfish niceness on the bottom there. And all you want to do now is heat back everything, allow that yam to absorb some of that. And this is why I started off with that olive oil and the butter, because I needed to coat the pieces of the yam with all that flavor. Oh no! Uncle Chris is using a tablespoon again. Where's the heat? I can't believe people just get vexed because I decide to use the spoon I like to use. But I have too many people with idle time on this. Let me get started now. But anyhow, we're tossing this and we're going to heat it through. And boom bam, boil and fry yam done. And in another 5 minutes, after putting the yam in here, everything will be flavored nicely. You're going to start getting those nice little brown bits on the bottom there. And you're done basically, yeah. Chris here, CaribbeanPot.com. Always a pleasure having you guys here in the kitchen with me. We're going to push this another step. Let me quickly show you guys. When my mom would make this for us, and I mentioned earlier, it would be with the leftover yam, and we would eat it with roti, sada roti. She would pull out the ponga, or the pestle. This is a wooden one. And she would go in and crush everything, all those pieces of yam. She would crush it, and that would be the base to be able to stretch it. Because remember, we didn't have a lot of yam because it was just leftover, but for everybody to have some, she would crush it like this and then serve it with hot roti. Chris here, come up yam. This is the next version of the boil and fry. Let's look at that. Oh boy, this year takes me back to being a little troublemaker down on the islands. Let me go to church this morning just for all the hardship I put that lady through. Yes, boy. I know I signed off there, but I just wanted to make one more quick comment. To complete this pung up yam tal curry. Yeah, tal curry is a side dish. What she would do is spread it out like so and allow a crust to form on the bottom there. And you see that crust? Ladies and gentlemen, that is the gold. That there is the gold in my humble opinion. Alright, now go on now. Go and do all you have to do. Go on.